everyone. Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your hosts, Casey.
And Sean, and today we've got another haunted attraction review. We will be diving deep into The Darkness.
Yay!
From St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, one of my favorite walkthroughs we've ever done.
Yeah, it's definitely the longest haunted attraction we've ever walked through.
It was really long, but it was worth it. And we'll tell you why.
Yeah. So we're going to break this up similar to other haunted attraction reviews. We'll talk about the website itself, some ticketing and pricing. We'll go into some of the history of the attraction, kind of the man behind the haunt. Go into kind of some stats, some common confusions that comes with this haunted attraction, because it's part of a larger conglomeration. That's a word, right?
Wow, that's a really big word. I don't think I've ever heard of that word.
I don't know. I'm just making it up at this point.
Okay.
A larger conglomeration or group of attractions in the area. Then we'll talk about some Yelp reviews and our own review with our standardized scoring criteria, which I feel like now that we've used it a few times, it's standard enough.
It is, yeah, and I like it.
And I just added to my to-do list or my reminders that I am going to try to start putting these on our website so that we can
That's a good idea.
Right? We can make our one big Excel spreadsheet type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
So we didn't travel to St. Louis just to go to this this haunted house. We were, if you're listening for the first time, this was part of our TransWorld adventures, I guess.
Yeah, our trip, our adventures.
Yeah, we actually didn't book this until a couple of days before we were at TransWorld or in Missouri, because we were looking for stuff to do, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that they were doing this.
Yeah, I didn't either. I guess they haven't done it since, I think, 2019 is what they were saying.
I think so.
We were just watching a video by the owner, Larry Kirshner. So
yeah, they opened it up to, it was
TransWorld attendees.
TransWorld attendees. It was a pretty penny, but
it was.
We
didn't do they had the option to do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then they had the option to go to the actual event that in the evening. So we only chose to do the event. Based on everything else we were spending total for the entire trip and the road trip and all that stuff. We had to kind of pick and choose a little bit. So our picking and choosing led us to just experiencing the event. Yeah,
maybe next year we will go to do the behind the scenes if we plan a little bit more around our budget.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with the website summary. It is pretty lengthy, so just bear with us.
This is taken from different places on the site.
Okay.
So that's why there's 3 kind of lengthy paragraphs. So if you want, we can split it up. You do a paragraph and then alternate.
Sure.
I wanted to give it kind of the best summary I could find. And I believe all of these are from their various websites because there are lots.
There's lots of websites?
There are lots within their network that all kind of almost source you back to another website. So they have a huge network of haunted attractions.
That makes sense.
All within their, not location specifically, but local to St. Louis. There are a lot that the people that run this and own and operate it also own a whole slew of things. So we'll talk about a little later.
Okay. So you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So are you ready to experience the best haunted house in America? How deep into the depths of the darkness can you take before your next step is your last? The all-new Darkness Haunted House, located in Soulard,
I think.
Soulard. Okay, I tried. Off South Broadway in downtown St. Louis, Missouri, rated as America's best haunted house. Missouri haunted houses have become known for Halloween, and none more than the king of scream, the Darkness Haunted House. In 2023, the Darkness Haunted House celebrates its 30th year of fear. Prepare to scream.
The Darkness is not like any other haunted house you've ever experienced. For the 30th year of fear, the best haunted house in America has pulled out all the screams. The Darkness was totally renovated, expanded to include several new attractions. In 2023, the Darkness features the 2-floor Darkness, Terror Visions 3D, Monster Museum, all-new 5-minute escape room, horror retail store, St. Louis Escape next door, Now it's 7 escapes, all new horror arcade room, and the all new retro interactive mini golf.
This is the biggest year of fear for the darkness. Grab your friends and scream with us in 2023. After you've survived the all-new darkness, enter the crazed world of freaky clowns inside TerraVision's 3D. TerraVision's 3D is the world's #1 rated 3D haunted house located directly after your darkness experience. The darkness features several all-new screams and scenes including a horrific greenhouse and a serial killer's lair. Plus the all-new horror retail store, horror photo ops, and Halloween pinball.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
There's
lot.
a lot going on.
Yeah, they have a lot going on.
And that's just the location that we got to go to.
Mm.
So TerraVision's 3D, just like it talked about, it was kind of the add-on walkthrough experience where all the clowns were for us.
I thought that was pretty cool. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I don't believe the retro interactive mini golf was open when we went. Not that we really had time.
Right.
And I don't know that the escape rooms were running either for the 5-minute escape rooms. I don't
think
know
so.
that they're auto resetting.
Right.
If they were, I thought I saw some people go over there, but they might have just been checking out the visual.
I did look into it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it kind of reminded me of like the escape room at 13th floor.
Okay.
Just like the 5-minute, like, just one room, some puzzles
Probably
in there.
1 to 2 people max.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty small. And yeah, I just went in there and just looked around. Like, it wasn't open or anything.
Okay.
So the ticket prices,
Under normal circumstances.
yeah, under normal circumstances are an online time ticket is $33.95 and an online any night ticket is $36.95. So does that mean...
So if you don't know exactly when you're going to be able to go,
Oh, okay. So any
you
night
can just
you
buy
choose.
kind of a generic ticket.
Gotcha. So you save about $3 or $4 if you book a timed ticket.
And then they also have add-ons similar to 13th floor, where you can add on a 5-minute escape room for $5 per person.
That's not bad.
Nope. A speed pass, which has 2 different costs. $15 if you're booking it online. $20 if you wait until you go to the box office at the event to book it there. They also have a VIP ticket, which includes immediate access with no waiting in line and 10% off of anything in the retail store.
Okay, that's a steal.
It's really not that bad because you figure if you're going to do the base ticket, roughly, say, $35, plus the $15, you're already at $50. So
Right.
add another $15, no wait, not just speed pass, but no wait. You get straight to the front.
And you get 10%
And
off.
10% off, which you're almost guaranteed to buy something in that store. There's something
there's
for
so
everybody.
many things in there, and we'll talk about that. So they also have combo tickets with their other things that they have. So if you get the Darkness and Terror Visions with Creepy World. Now,
Which
what
is-
exactly is Creepy World?
We'll talk about that a little later, but Creepy World is
Okay.
its own haunted attraction,
Gotcha.
but they're owned by the same company.
Okay, so if you do all 3 of those,
Which you can't really separate the Darkness and Terror
you
Visions.
can't. Yeah, it's
So-
connected.
Darkness, Terror Visions, and Creepy World. So 2 attractions,
Gotcha.
I would say.
Okay, so that is $59.95, and then you can also do Darkness and Terror Visions with the Limp Haunted House, which we'll talk about, and that is $57.95. So I wonder why there's a $2 difference.
I would imagine, based on my research, the caliber of business knowledge behind the group that runs this, they probably have it down to a really specific science of how much people are willing to pay and how much they need them to pay in order to make this worthwhile.
Yeah,
From like a throughput standpoint and all of that.
right. They also have an Ultimate Scarefest Scream Pass.
That's a mouthful.
Oof, which is $89.95, and this includes Darkness with TerraVisions 3D, a Speed Pass, Limp Haunted House with a Speed Pass, Creepy World with a Speed Pass, their Jack-O-Lantern Festival, Haunted Hayride, and Live Freak Show. And then this is limited to 2,500 passes. Wow, that's a lot for only $90. That's actually not bad at all.
Right. So the Jack-O-Lantern Festival, the Haunted Hayride, and the Live Freak Show, if I'm not mistaken, those are all not necessarily add-on attractions because I don't know if they're separately ticketed as add-ons, but they are all at Creepy World, I believe.
Gotcha.
So the way I picture this is Creepy World is similar to Fear Reach Scream Park
Gotcha.
in
Tavares, Florida.
Yeah. So you have your Jack-o'-lantern festival, which we'll talk about a little bit. I think it has like somewhere of like 2,500 carved pumpkins.
Wow.
Which is insane.
That's so cool.
A haunted hayride, live freak show.
So it's like a
It's something you
like
would
a
go
fair.
to at night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like a creepy fair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really cool.
a lot of different ticket options.
Yeah.
A lot of different bells and whistles you can add on to it.
Yeah. That's
So
really cool.
now we're going to go into the history of the attraction. We'll break this up into who's behind the haunt. We'll talk about Larry Kirshner. We'll talk about where and how it and he started. We'll talk about some basic stats. And then we'll round out some of this history with the common confusions between what is Creepy World, what is Limp Brewery Haunted House.
Yeah, because I'm kind of confused right now.
Right. What is the darkness? Who actually runs all of this? And why are they good at it?
Famous?
Like, what is the purpose of the Darkness Haunted House?
Yeah.
Why does it take an hour to go through, it seemed like? But there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
let's jump in off the diving board.
Okay.
So Larry Kirshner is the man behind the haunt. He is the president of Blacklight Attractions, Halloween Productions, and HauntWorld.com. He is the owner of several St. Louis-specific haunted and themed attractions, including The Darkness, Creepy World, Limp Brewery Haunted House, St. Louis Escape, and Retro Mini Golf.
Wow.
So
He is busy.
He is. He runs a YouTube channel. He runs, I believe, a magazine. If it's still, I think it's a digital magazine at this point.
That's cool.
He does YouTube videos so often.
Yeah.
Like I would imagine he's never not moving. So to connect the dots a little bit, Blacklight Attractions and Halloween Productions and HauntWorld.com are kind of the top level parent companies of a lot of the lower level visual brands such as Creepy World, Limp Brewery Haunted House, St. Louis Escape, Retro Mini Golf, The Darkness. So between Blacklight Attractions, which is anything from laser tag to mini golf, kind of like on what's the one? We've done a few Blacklight mini golf, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
So imagine that. Halloween Productions is anything from a home haunt type of thing all the way up to full dark rides.
Now, are these located in St. Louis?
So Blacklight Attractions is a parent company.
Okay.
So they are consultants, designers. They are the company that brings these like client or customer reaction or client customer designs to life.
Oh, okay.
So they
they're
are
just
production
like a
companies,
production
basically.
company. Okay.
So Blacklight Attractions, specifically for Blacklight entertainment, such as like mini golf, laser tag, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Halloween Productions is anything from low-level home haunt consultations all the way up to Hollywood. Like scenic effects, special effects, anything all the way up to Hollywood level design for props and everything. Literally anything you would want in a horror movie.
And do you know where these like home base offices are?
St. Louis.
Okay, they're all in St. Louis.
Yep.
Okay, that was my question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then HauntWorld.com, which is more of the online presence that runs kind of Creepy World. I think they're the overarching theme of the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So the Darkness itself began in 1994 as competition to local establishments such as Silo X, which was the first franchised haunted house, Terror Visions, which was a haunt owned and designed by a Hollywood effects artist, and Fair Ashton's Mansion. I don't know if I'm saying that first word right. It's Thayre.
Fair.
Fair
That
Ashton's Mansion.
Sounds right.
So that was the first haunt that actually bussed their guests from a parking lot to the actual haunt in the woods.
Oh, that sounds cool.
So you didn't have to rely on how good is the local parking in order to open up a haunt there. They
Right.
knew where they wanted the haunt. They knew where they could pick you up at. Do you want to know where the Darkness got its name?
Yeah.
So this was a little weird to figure out because when we were going through it, I didn't necessarily pick up a specific theme
Mm-mm.
that could translate the entire haunt.
No.
It seemed like one big sampling of anything you'd see in any haunted house across the world.
Yes.
And it was like, well, do you want to see an asylum? We've got it. Do you want to see clowns? We've got it. Do you want to see
You
a serial
literally
killer?
have
Got it.
everything. Yep.
Right. So it didn't follow a specific script or storyline throughout. But the way the darkness came to be in terms of naming was the actual building itself, where it was originally located, which is not where we saw it.
Okay.
That's their second building, I believe, after they had to move.
Yeah.
So the original location was inside an old Welsh baby carriage factory.
Ooh.
And according to a lot of the paperwork that Larry found in kind of the different offices, it was commonly referred to as the Sunshine Factory.
Interesting.
So he took that and thought, well, I'm going to go the opposite route.
Yeah.
And we're going to call it the Darkness.
That's very clever.
Yeah. Do you want to read the next couple of ones?
Sure. So when Larry signed his first rental agreement of the space, I'm assuming the Sunshine Factory, the windows were mostly boarded up. That combined with the original facility's name, he deemed it the Darkness. And since 1994, over 600,000 guests have experienced the attraction. And according to HauntWorld.com in 2022, it was rated number 4 below Penhurst Asylum in Pennsylvania, 13th Gate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Hell's Gate in Illinois.
So, the end of this, I put my own little thought on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, it was ranked number 4 in what magazine or what website?
HauntWorld.com.
Right. Who owns Haunt World?
Him.
Right. So, it's in a lot of his marketing, he claims this is the number 1 or America's best haunted house. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't visit other haunted attractions.
Oh, I'm sure.
A big part of his YouTube channel is doing deep dives into Dark Hour, into 13th Gate, into Netherworld, into all of the big, huge haunts.
Yeah.
That technically are his competition if you're willing to travel
Right.
that far.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool that he was able to delineate and kind of not just automatically put himself up at the top,
Yeah,
but he actually
I
gave
appreciate that.
credence to others that he thinks are doing better in certain aspects.
If he thinks Penhurst Asylum is better than his,
I really wanna go to Penhurst
want to go to that.
We have the opportunity if we go
do.
to East Coast Hunters Convention. We have not decided yet.
It's so soon, and we have a lot going on in our lives right
a
now.
ton going on, so I don't think we're going to be able to make it. But,
No, but
it is kind of cool. I've been in touch with Jim Werner from Haunted Attraction Association, just about like little training bits. It was a really like low-key conversation.
Cool.
I saw some room for improvement in one of the online presentations, so it was kind of cool to be able to talk to him with no real like issue behind it. It was cool that he was approachable and reachable.
Yeah, that's good. So after the first 10 years, the building was sold to be developed into apartments. So the owners bought the building next door and expanded from there. Okay, so it was right next door to where they are now.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense because right next. Okay,
Yep.
I see.
Yeah, it's a really odd area in general.
It's a very weird area, but it's kind of like a little downtown. It was like a really cool, like little downtown place.
Yeah.
Like.
And I'm sure there was a lot more parking than we were aware of.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because we only saw a little bit. Because we got there at night. It was already chaotic because you have all these people coming in.
So many people. Yeah.
So some of the stats on this place. Obviously, you have the notes in front of you. I was going to make this a guessing game and say how many square feet do you think this facility had? Because it felt huge.
Huge, because it's multi-level.
It's multi-level.
Yeah.
It took us 45 minutes to an hour to go through it.
Yeah.
So this was only 27,000 square feet.
You would think it's way more than that.
Yeah. The way they utilized space was phenomenal.
Yeah.
This has been, or the Darkness itself has been featured in National Geographic, The Today Show, Fox News, USA Today, the History Channel, the Travel Channel, a million different YouTube sites.
Cool.
One of the more recent ones that has gotten a lot of praise is Grim Life Collective has done a phenomenal set of videos where they go into the Limp Haunted Brewery, I believe, Creepy World, and the Darkness.
Okay, cool.
And I think they went all within the last year, and some of them as recent as TransWorld.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
They celebrated their 30-year anniversary last year in 2023. You can take photos and videos inside and outside of the haunt. However, you cannot use your flash. So no flash inside the attraction. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We were able to take a few videos. He didn't know that we could take videos.
I had
So
no idea until
I
about
had
halfway
pulled out
through.
my phone and I was like taking video. He was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "The guy in front of me is doing it. Everybody
Right,
else can."
because to me, like, that's
Yeah.
a
Well,
huge no-no.
I forgot to like tell you that on the ticket that when we bought it, it said you were allowed to film.
Yeah, so
But
that...
sometimes it was too dark where you like my phone isn't gonna pick up. Like
Yeah.
if I had like a normal like really good quality camera, I think I could.
Yeah, one that wasn't trying to take calls and surf the internet and FaceTime. All the other things an iPhone does at the same time.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah.
So there's a lot. So we're going to move now into the common confusions. So we're going to break out, just in kind of a quick little excerpt, what Creepy World, Limp Brewery, Haunted Houses, as well as the Darkness, because we were only able to go to the Darkness. So this is mostly pulled from their website as well.
Okay.
Because a lot of people ask. We're not the only ones that are like, well, what are all these other places you
Yeah,
can go to?
it's a little confusing.
Yeah. So if you want to read the first three,
Sure.
I'll wrap it all up in what Halloween Productions specifically is, because they come into play big time, and you can see kind of the breadcrumbs as to how they piece in after.
Okay. All right, so starting with Creepy World. So Creepy World is an outdoor haunted attraction with some indoor elements. It hosts a haunted hayride and a jack-o'-lantern spooktacular with over 2,500 carved pumpkins. So like we said before, it's kind of like a
That
little
would be
outdoor
incredible.
festival. Yeah, that would be so
We're
cool.
up to what, like 6 or 7 carved pumpkins, and I just want to keep adding more every year.
Oh my gosh. So are these like all
I
these are
believe
probably
they're all
foam.
foam,
Okay.
yes.
I would hope so. You wouldn't want to carve all of these pumpkins and then they just disintegrate.
No, I would imagine not.
And then the Limp Brewery
You love that word. That is not in your
Limp
verbal.
Brewery Haunted House is an indoor haunted house located in an actual limestone cave. Now, we talked about the Limp Mansion before. So these are directly correlated. However, I don't think I think he probably bought it, right? Okay. I'm sure you'll tell me that.
I don't know that for sure.
Oh,
But I
okay.
believe that this is in the actual original place that...
Yes, the factory, basically.
Yeah, the
Like
original
brewery
factory that was in
factory.
the cave.
Yeah. The Darkness is considered the testing ground and showcase of Halloween productions.
So, what is Halloween Productions? So, we talked at the beginning-ish that Larry Kirshner is the president of Blacklight Attractions, Halloween Productions, and HauntWorld.com. HauntWorld.com runs most of the online landscape of The Darkness, Creepy World, Limp Brewery, Haunted Mansion. Blacklight Attractions runs more of the retro mini golf as well as a lot of the other production parts of Blacklight themed attractions.
Okay.
So Halloween Productions is huge. Like, they're much larger than anything you and I could have imagined. So
Wow.
Halloween Productions, according to their site, is an industry leader in creating interactive haunted attractions and offers consultation, maze design, operational plans, animations, animatronics, construction, installation, and other services for various typical haunted attractions. 3D attractions, escape games, dark rides, fun houses, axe throwing, laser tag, and more all around the globe.
Wow.
So they have some of their pricing online. Obviously, most of these are going to be on a quote-by-quote basis, but their generic pricing can go anywhere from about $45,000
What?
for conversations on consulting,
What?
and it can range all the way up to, probably more than this, upwards of about $1.2 million if you're looking for them to contract out a complete dark ride.
Jeez.
So this is anywhere from the Scott Swinsons of the world of, hey, I just want to have a conversation. This is what I want to kind of roll with. I just want your tips and tricks, your thoughts. I want to know where to go from here. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to be.
Are they hiring?
All the way up to Sally Dark Rides, where you have this much square footage, you know what your concept is, or maybe you don't. You want this full ride system and attraction to be completely installed.
Wow.
So they are huge. You can also purchase used equipment on their website. So
Probably
a lot of the
for a
videos
pretty
we've
penny.
been probably a lot of the videos we've been watching, you can see the kind of their back, we'll call it the garage area, but they're behind the scenes of the darkness.
Yeah.
They have a ton of props.
Oh, so many.
They just bought a ton more from TransWorld 2024 this year. So there's only so much room to put them. So they've got to get rid of something.
Right.
You can only open so many more haunted attractions before you kind of run out of stuff.
Craziness.
So overall, Halloween Productions, they offer services, again, anywhere from the home haunter that wants to go commercial all the way up to Hollywood industry experts. So the reason they allow you to take photos and videos in the darkness and why it's so long and why it's such a big sampling of different concepts without one specific storyline tying them all together is Halloween Productions deems the darkness as its showcase, basically.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. So when you go to TransWorld, you walk past distortions and you see a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of there. That's what the darkness is. The darkness is basically for the customer that goes, well, what can you really offer? Well, if you'd like to see our work, what are you looking for? Are you looking for vampires? Cool. Why don't you go through this attraction? We'll tell you when you get to the vampire part, if it's not obvious. So everything they are able to offer is there. Like, that's their quality control.
That makes
what
sense.
to expect.
Okay.
So now I understand why it took us 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Understand why there were so many different effects going on and why they were so animatronic heavy.
That makes sense.
It's a big piece of their stuff.
Okay, so it's basically like a catalog.
A
walkthrough catalog.
And the products in the darkness aren't necessarily produced by the darkness.
No.
Some of them are scare factors, some of them are distortions, some of them are gorgalore, poison props, whatever.
Right.
But to them, it's more of, we can theme your environment.
Right.
We can make a whole production. They're not saying that, well, you're only going to have our props. They're saying they can make you an entire experience.
And yes, they can.
Yeah. But they are hiring, but mostly for carpentry, more hands-on stuff.
Oh,
so it seems like a lot of the design and creation stuff probably comes from Larry.
Probably.
And another more close-knit team.
But I'm sure you looked it up.
Oh, 100%. Because that is a dream job.
Yes, it is. I could see you.
That would be so much fun.
I know you would. You would love it.
And I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Larry Kirshner fan watching his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal at what he does. But I think my personality and his personality would probably clash.
Yeah, probably.
He is phenomenal at what he does. But what I found funny was there's a video that he did where he does a behind-the-scenes tour of Dark Hour with Alan Hops.
Yeah.
And the entire time, Larry is pointing out, oh, is that prop from this? Oh, is that prop from that company? And the whole time, Alan Hops is trying to just get him to stay focused. Because then he goes on rabbit trails and tangents and starts telling stories. Well, I met this one guy and da-da-da. And I was like, I just want to get you to this haunt. Like, I've got other things to be doing right now. This was just after Alan Hops had become, like, the owner of Dark Hour. I
remember you showing me that video. I'd love to go back and rewatch
it's super cringy. Because Alan Hops is trying so hard to be nice and polite. And I feel like
that would
you can
annoy
see
me.
it all over his face. He's just super annoyed with Larry.
That would annoy me, too, to be honest with you. So
and who knows? Maybe Alan was just having a really rough day. But I remember watching that going, ooh, this guy is kind of annoying. But then I think we watched another video not much later than that where Larry was touring either 13th Gate or Netherworld.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one is owned by Ben something.
I don't
Did you
remember.
take a? I thought you took a class with one of them.
Oh, 13th floor?
No, not 13th floor. It
I'm
was either
sorry.
Hell's Gate or Netherworld.
I think it was Hell's Gate.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up really quick. Um,
But yeah, Larry just seems like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but from what I have seen, it just, like, watching his videos, I just get kind of mad because it's all about, like, it's a lot of money.
but
And
he earned it.
no, I
He
know,
started
but
from the bottom, and it's not like it was like nepotism that put him in the haunt world. Like he
no, I
built it
know.
from the ground up,
I know.
basically.
But then it also kind of like when he goes and reviews all of these other places, it kind of feels like a competition.
So I see
Oops,
why
sorry.
you see that,
Yeah.
but I really think he's under the same thought process of a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
So I don't think he views it as competition other than, ooh, you're doing that part really well. I
Yeah.
think I could probably incorporate something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I see that, but I also think that sorry, I'm still googling who I think it is.
It's okay.
Um, I think he really goes into it almost like a kid in a candy store of what can I
Probably.
can do better? What can I do better?
Yeah. I can see that. I can understand that.
All right.
So I'm not like putting, you know, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying like from what I have seen, but yeah, super talented and driven for sure.
Yes. All right.
Find it?
So it is Hell's Gate.
Okay, yeah,
Hell's
that's
Gate
what I
Haunted
thought.
House.
Mhm.
The owner is John LaFlamboy.
Mhm.
So again, very very strong personality.
Yep.
It's the only interview where I've seen somebody be an even bigger presence than Larry Kirshner.
Yeah.
Because John LaFlamboy, I would love to meet him in person as well. Because there's so much passion when he's talking about his haunted house and haunted attractions in general.
Which class did I take that?
I don't know if you actually took the class. I'd have to go
Oh,
back and
okay. Because
watch.
I don't remember that name. So
I'll show you the picture of him.
okay. Well, I've seen so many people.
I know.
So
They all run together.
yeah, I don't. I only know like the main people. um, but yeah.
All right. It's not loading right now, but
Okay.
I'll show you a picture of him.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be another one. Because I think 13th or Hell's Gate. Gosh, what is it? Hell's Gate?
Yeah.
Isn't it in Georgia?
I do not remember.
Hmm.
Like I said, these run together.
Yeah, they do.
And if we haven't been, it's kind of hard to remember.
Right. All right. What are we going to next after this section?
So let me talk through our reviews. So this is where our funny reviews take place. Well, they're not all funny, but we choose a few reviews from either Yelp or Google or somewhere else, and then we talk through them, and then we will go on to our ratings and our reviews.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you want to? I'll start with the first review.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from Aaron B. from St. Louis, Missouri. So it says just an excerpt. What does that mean?
So their review is super long. There's a few of them like that. So I
Okay.
tried to pull just the good bit of it,
Okay.
like the most
Are there any bad reviews we're
impactful.
going to read?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're doing some 5 stars, some 2 stars, some 1 stars,
All
and then
right.
we'll round it out with a 3 star.
All right, so Erin from St. Louis. So she said, "The Darkness is Scarefest's crowning glory, and its other properties, Creepy World and Limp Brewery Haunted House, formerly The Abyss, don't have quite the same flair. While Creepy World is my favorite of the three, I acknowledge that The Darkness is the best of the three. Its set design is awesome and intricate. There were many more scare actors, and the scares are much more frequent and elaborate. I would say this is probably the scariest of the three, although each has its own reasons for being scary. The sets are so well done. At their worst, they put you at unease. At their best, they can equally frighten. There's many more scare actors and some stalk you from a short distance through several rooms, just watching, waiting, and creating some pressure to keep moving forward into new scares. The scares here are more than just a one-off. They really set you up to be paying attention to one thing and run into another. You dodge a giant puppet, reaching out for you only to run straight into a monster. An old car sitting to your right startles you with its horn as its terrifying owner pops up on your left. I would say the scares are better orchestrated here. 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was really heavy on the scare acting, the scare actors. Okay, cool. All right.
And I will say the majority of these are from Yelp reviews from people that lived in St. Louis.
Okay.
It seemed like the majority of their reviews total were, so I wasn't going to try to go super in depth and pull ones from different states.
Yeah.
If these were the predominant ones.
Okay, so what about the next one?
All right, so DB from St. Louis, Missouri. Could have been DB Cooper.
What do you
I
think
don't know.
DB stands for?
I feel like Dale.
Oh my god, I
Dale
was
just
literally
feels
just
like-
thinking that.
So I had a teacher, or a Sunday school teacher, when I was in, I don't know, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. I don't know. His name was Dale Beck.
Okay, so this is Dale Beck.
So this could be Dale Beck. This is not going to sound like him. So if anybody listens to this and knows a Dale Beck in Jacksonville, this is not what he sounds like.
Okay.
Dale Beck is way cooler than this, and I'll never give him a bad complaint.
Okay.
All right. DB from St. Louis says, just an excerpt. Here's the deal. A lot of people come on these forums and complain about the same old things. They cram you in. They don't space people out. Well, half of that is because some terrified tween is standing in a corner too afraid to move and keep the line moving. The other half is when hundreds of people line up outside, they have to keep it moving. Otherwise, you'd be there all night. My advice to avoid crowds is to not only go early in the season, as in when they first open, but go early in the day. Obviously, 8 p.m. on the Saturday before Halloween is going to be jam-packed. So be strategic, people. Use common sense, and you will have a blast. Millions of dollars have been put into this place, and you can really tell. The automated decorations, ceilings and floors that drop, LED and laser lights, water features, and it goes on and on and on. This place is great, and I will return every year. 5 out of 5 stars.
Okay, so this person is from St. Louis, Missouri, but he has a really thick Southern accent, so that makes a whole lot of sense.
Listen, people with Southern accents, I think, can live wherever they want.
Yeah,
they could
maybe
be in Sweden. They could be in Iran. They could be in China.
Maybe.
Just because they lived there then doesn't mean they grew up there.
All right, so solid review, DB.
Yeah.
This review is by Rodney M. from Buffalo, New York.
Do you want to do one of Rodney's or Mike's reviews, or would you rather do Shell or Morgan?
Okay, I'll do Shell and Morgan if you do
All right.
the others.
What should Rodney and Mike be like? One's from Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo accent. Do a New York accent.
Coffee.
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 Darkness.
This is going to be awful. I feel like this is going to morph into a different...
It's going to turn
accent
into a
again.
Southern accent,
Probably.
I bet you.
Coffee. The darkness is just an average haunted house. Despite all the hype that surrounds it, the darkness refuses to change, lacks excitement, and is not very big. Coffee. I strongly suggest visiting Creepy World instead. I have a more detailed review on my YouTube channel. 2 out of 5 stars. So that may have been like borderline Massachusetts accent as well. So,
That was
the
too
very
good.
last one, I have a more detailed review on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel he links
Yeah.
does not go to an actual YouTube channel.
Oh, my Rodney.
Also, on this review, Larry Kirshner also has a Yelp account. He has commented on every negative review.
Oh, I'm sure he has,
and
as I
the more
would too.
recent ones, he references Grim Life Collective's YouTube video and says, if you don't think this is one of the best haunted attractions in America, you're wrong. And I can list you a ton of different YouTube channels that agree with that sentiment, including Grim Life Collective. Here's their link, because clearly your review is just a bot
How did
or
he?
something else.
How did he say that it lacks excitement and is not very big?
I
How is it
don't
not very big?
know. It's not an average haunted house.
No,
Literally everything in this review
is wrong.
is wrong,
I mean,
except for strongly suggesting visiting Creepy World. I don't know. I would guess that if we liked the darkness as much as we did, we would probably also like Creepy World and Limp Brewery Haunted House. But we will go back and we will find out for ourselves one day.
yeah.
So yeah, that's almost the entire review I disagreed with. All right.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
Mike R. from St. Louis, Missouri. Give me another. I don't know that I can do it, but
Do it like a nerdy voice.
why do you think that's up my alley?
Have you seen yourself?
Jimmy's mom.
Jimmy's mom. Okay.
Don't you believe America's scariest haunted house for 1 second? The really cool prop saved it from having 1 star. The waiting area was right out of a movie set. Don't count on any absolute dark areas or other means of sensory overload. We were through in 30 minutes. Drive to their sister site at Creepy World or save your money and rent a classic horror movie. 2 out of 5 stars. That's as good as it gets.
Okay. Well, we were through in 30 minutes. Honestly, 30 minutes for a walk through haunted house is really long.
It's really long.
Yeah.
So the way we were trying to think through this is, I feel like if we were to walk through, or if they lined up all 10 of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando's haunted houses to where we just walked out of one, walked straight into the next, I feel like the darkness is still longer than all 10 of those combined.
Yes.
Like, this was huge.
I mean, to be honest, we stopped
a
few times to look
but
around.
Still, the first 30 minutes, I don't think we stopped at all.
No.
And I think we both thought, is this thing over yet? Like,
yeah,
we
I was
love
like,
haunted houses, but geez.
I know. I was like, my feet like really hurt.
Right. We're
like,
going up and down stairs.
Yeah.
We're doing so much walking.
It is.
It
but
was great,
it's worth
though.
it.
Right.
Yeah. It really is worth it.
So I kind of
if you like
them
haunted houses.
when we got stopped by a large crowd, I kind of enjoyed.
I know.
All right,
well,
now we can
the
rest.
one spot that we did was
we'll talk about
really,
that a little.
really loud, but okay. So this review,
these are both super long.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. All right, so this review is by Shell D, like shell, like a beach
a-
shell, and she is from St. Lottie,
St. Lottie.
St. Louis, Missouri. She says,
Can you do this in a Jersey accent? You do this
I really don't
well.
want to. She's from St. Louis.
She may have. I think I read in this review where she talks about she moved from Jersey.
Does my Jersey accent turn you on or something?
Jeez. I don't know. That's something I'll have to talk with my therapist about. We'll see. I'll ponder that one. Write it in my journal.
Okay. All right. So she says, So I went to the darkness because my +1 at the elite Yelp event won tickets with their bad hair. Thanks, Erica. Love you. I was not impressed at all. But then again, I don't get scared by that kind of thing. If you want to scare me, put me by myself in a dark underground basement in an abandoned building, and I'll scare the living crap out of myself. I digress. Anyways, my friend was scared at things jumping out at her and startling her. The best part of the entire night was seeing the people hiding and making sure I turned so that they would jump out and scare her. I wouldn't spend my money going to this place, especially since it's extremely overpriced. But who knows? If you were 12, you might be scared. 1 out of 5 stars.
That was good.
Was it?
Yeah, I feel like I was... Like, I could picture myself watching Jersey Shore and seeing really any of them
My
review
God.
this. That was good. Yeah, so how do you feel about her review?
I mean... She's whatever.
She's right about part of it.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of making sure you turn one way and scare you from the other.
That is true, which I actually like that though because
You got
I got
a few
I
times.
got a few times, yeah. And so I like being scared. So
Yeah.
I mean, I see what she's saying, but again, she
She's wrong.
She's wrong. I mean, it's her opinion, so she's
Just
not
our
wrong.
perspective.
All
That's
right.
my opinion.
So this review, I'm not gonna do that accent again.
Which, are you going to do any accent?
I'm gonna do like a Valley Girl accent.
Okay.
Because she's from Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah, so that's like right next door to California.
Okay, this is Morgan M.
Ooh, you could do, wait, sorry.
What?
Why don't you do like a Dakota accent?
Dakota?
Yeah, like North and South Dakota.
I have no idea.
Dakota. Almost like Canadian.
Dakota? No, I can't do that.
You can.
No,
You
only
can.
with certain words.
We'll just do it on the certain words.
Oh my god. I have visited the darkness twice.
You're just doing it in a Jersey accent.
Okay,
You
I
didn't
can't.
change it all.
I can't. I can only do
Alright,
certain.
fine. Do your Valley Girl from Springfield, Illinois.
Okay. I have visited the darkness twice, and I must say, unless you scare easily, this is not a haunted house you go to be scared. Now, keeping that in mind, this is a haunted house you want to go to if you enjoy electronics and appreciate attention to detail and scenery. This is a very beautiful haunted attraction, very detailed and impressive, but the actors were awful both times I visited. They didn't really even try to scare you. They were just kind of there. I'm a 19-year-old girl, and I could have been a better monster than almost everyone there. If you consider yourself a real thrill seeker, don't waste your time and don't listen to reviews that say it's the scariest haunted house in America, because it certainly isn't. I would recommend The Abyss right now. The street is actually... Sorry.
I think it's supposed to be right down the street, and I think she spelled it wrong.
Oh, I would recommend The Abyss right down the street if you actually want to be scared. The actors there have a real passion, and it's a very thrilling experience in the best haunted house I've been to. 3 out of 5 stars.
So, I don't think at this time The Abyss was owned by Larry Kirshner and his companies, but I think it is funny that he eventually took it over. So
That is pretty funny.
even if you don't like this one,
He was like,
chances are you're gonna like one of his.
He was like, I'll just take that one. Thanks very much.
So yeah, I feel like that one was pretty even keel. 3 out of 5 stars.
But she's 19 and she could be so much scarier.
Yeah, she might be right.
God.
We don't know Morgan M, but it is very electronic and
Yes, heavy.
animatronic heavy.
Yep.
Also detail and scenery heavy. We did go on arguably a non-peak night.
Mm-hmm.
So the actors were a little light.
Yeah.
I'd like to think in October, busy
I'm
season,
sure they have tons of
they're
actors.
a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like this was a pretty good, honest review.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would classify it the scariest haunted house that we've been to.
No.
But I will say it was one of our favorites
It was cool.
for a lot of different reasons, which is a phenomenal segue into our own scoring criteria.
All right.
Do you want to break down how this is going to go?
Sure. So our scoring criteria is we will go through the theme and the story, our first impression, acting, lighting, effects, audio, set design, customer service, merchandise, and finally our final thoughts. So we are going to try to do this in a very timely manner.
Nah.
But probably not. Okay, so for the theme and story, I would have rated this a 4 out of 5. What about you?
I gave it a 4 out of 5 as well. I've talked about it a little bit throughout, but my biggest thing when it comes to story and theming is, as much as I love the attention to detail in each scene, I thought that each scene had its own theme and story, and didn't seem like it drove to one fully cohesive story that was strung throughout the entire haunted house.
I completely agree.
Again, I don't think that was their intent, was to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't think they failed their intent. I think for them, it's one big sampling of
Right.
different scenes, different themes.
And I actually like that because you never know what's going to come next. So like you're walking through a room and you're like, okay, well that's cool. But if it was like a normal like small haunted house and it had a certain theme, you could at least expect what's going to come next. So like if you're going through a like creepy like haunted house
Hmm.
basically, like it's a literal haunted house. Like you're going to see moving picture frames, you're going to see like maybe a little girl like laughing or kids laughing or whatever. But with this, like once you go through a room, you don't know what's gonna come next.
So I disagree. I
Oh,
think you're right on the last part.
okay.
Um, but to me, based on the behind the scenes and the walkthroughs that I've watched, I think that Dark Hour
Mhm.
probably has a really similar timeline of how long it takes to get from point A to point B in the house,
Mhm.
but they still have an overarching theme.
Hmm.
Of Dark Hour, it's 13 witches. I think it's 13. I don't know. We haven't been to the attraction when it's
No.
running. I've only watched a ton of different walkthroughs of it
Mhm.
and listened to a lot of different interviews by Alan Hops. So for them, each area is its own specific witch theme.
Yeah.
So whether it's a garden witch, whether it's um, a Latin American witch, like that's what they change up each year is one or a few of the witches.
Mhm.
But it's still all collaborating towards one overarching theme and storyline of you need all 13 of these witches.
Yeah, but the darkness doesn't necessarily have that.
Right. That's why I'm saying I put this as a 4 out of 5 because each individual theme was well done,
Mhm.
but it would have gotten a 5 out of 5 if it would have
Had it
had one
been.
overarching theme
I agree.
where all the scenes contributed,
But
like Dark
I
Hour.
didn't know that it was basically like a showcase
Yeah, but
for
that's not going to
theming.
change my rating personally.
No, I don't think so either.
So we both gave that 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Overall, still like a good.
Oh, yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just
Just there's no
that was the
really
only
cohesive.
lacking part for
Right.
me.
So our first impression, um, I mean, we've never been to St. Louis before, so we were kind
Hmm.
of like new to the area, obviously. So we kind of mapped it out, like where to go. I was like, okay, there's a like parking lot right here, like let's just park there, and then directly across the street was the the actual building.
Hmm.
So it was kind of sketchy outside. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Um, but once you got to the door and you were in the queue line, it actually felt like,
Yeah.
a
Once
true.
after you scanned your ticket and you were inside, you were
Right.
in an
You
actual
were
queue
you were
line
actually yeah.
that was themed.
Mhm.
Yeah, outside they had queue actors. They had what, two or three of them.
Mhm.
Some were a little, we'll say creepy, but not in
Um
the creepy, like scary sense. More
uh
of like a
no.
creeper.
Yeah, he was hitting on the girl in front of us and it was kind of awkward and uncomfortable.
She handled
Um
it super
she
well.
did. She handled it really well.
She tried to get us involved, and we
I was like,
did not like that game.
nope. I was like, my husband's right here. I'm good. Like,
And he didn't bother you. He only bothered her
well,
because she was by
yeah,
herself or
because
with
she,
her
well, she
other
was with
friend.
her friend, so I don't know, just like, don't
That one skeeved
stalk.
me out. But aside from that, all the others were great. Like when we did the
Mhm.
photo op with the big it thing outside.
Yeah.
The actor that came and stood next to me for that, he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they had a slider outside.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. You don't see that often, especially during non-peak season.
Right. So.
So yeah, the outside of this building was super normal. We could have driven past it, and I would have just assumed it was a factory
Right.
or an office building, something like that.
Right.
Had no idea it was a haunted attraction or that there would be one nearby if we were just driving in the daylight.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I,
it's in like a kind of a weird location because it's right in front of an on ramp to get onto the interstate.
yeah, and that
So
posed a big traffic issue
yeah, I'm sure
throughout.
they have a ton of traffic.
And I would say probably 50% of the people that came for this were
Mhm.
being dropped off through Uber, Lyft,
Yeah.
some sort of rideshare type thing.
Yeah.
And you could tell they were very annoyed, the drivers.
Yeah, I bet Uber was like, "What the heck is going on?"
Yeah. So there's first impressions outside. I don't feel like they were that great. I didn't really have any expectations. I thought it was really strange, and maybe we weren't even at the right place.
Right.
But like you said, once we were inside, the set design was incredible. I've heard some
Mhm.
channels say that it felt like it was straight out of the set design from Indiana Jones,
I could see that.
kind of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
They had huge animatronic, a huge demon animatronic as the centerpiece of the queue line,
Yeah.
as well as off in the corner they had kind of a trio of witches
Mm-hmm.
off to the side.
Which,
Um,
which then it kind of like that first impression, I was like, okay,
it
is
felt like a
there a
spirit Halloween.
yeah? I was like, is there a theme because these don't match at all.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of like told me like in my brain, I was like, okay, there's probably not going to be a true theme. It's
Yeah.
probably just going to be
Because how much can you theme off of just the name, The Darkness? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you dived into it, you could make a slew of different themes and
dived.
somehow tie into it.
Dived is not a word.
Dived?
Mm-hmm.
I, I dived off the diving board.
I thought it was dove.
I think that's the thing that comes with a peace offering.
Not a dove. Dove. Dived.
I think it's dived.
I don't know. I like to correct you when I think
No,
I'm right.
past tense, dived.
Okay, fine. You know what? I try and I always fail.
You don't always fail.
Mm,
So some dictionaries on both sides of the pond accept both dived and dove. And some
whatever.
U.S. writing style guides prefer dive as the traditional form. Dove is used more frequently in the United States and Canada. Dived is more common outside of North America. So they're both right. Win-win. Call it a day. We're good.
Okay. No, I feel stupid.
You're not stupid.
Thanks, babe.
So next was acting. Third category, again out of 5 stars. I gave it 4. What about you?
Yeah, I gave it a 4 too. Wow, we really scored.
We were pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the actors that we did see.
We talked about it already. Like they in the queue line.
Yeah.
And then the actors inside were very I don't think they had. So I think the thing is that we were in a line. So like they like waited, I don't know how many, 60 seconds until they let you go through. Like I don't know how they do this on a regular like peak season, but we were able to walk through at a certain pace until we caught up with somebody. Now some of the actors were like they were not on time at all.
No.
They were like waiting. I think it's hard for them to see or hear when somebody's coming. Yeah. And so when there's a big gap like that,
it's hard to stay focused.
It's hard.
And know.
Yeah. So I think that could have been a little better. Also, there were a lot of actors running back behind us.
There were about 4 or 5
because I think somebody like got hurt or something like that. I don't know.
I thought that was part of the storyline when the first one passed us.
No, it happened like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they were going opposite of the line and like actively pushing people out of the way. Excuse me, somebody's hurt. Somebody's hurt.
So I don't know what was going on, but I mean, they were only open that one night during the spring.
That kind of reminded me of Hell House.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. And that's like my worst fear. I'm like, oh crap, something bad has happened. Like, we're going to get murdered.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, a few things I did notice was, one, to me, none of the actors broke character.
No.
Was this one where one girl, like, smiled at you?
She giggled at me.
Okay, when you said...
Yeah, so I said, so it was the room where they were like standing and they had white sheets over them, like the statue scares or whatever. And she was standing there and I could see her eyes in her thing and I'm like, you're gonna move. I knew it. And she like moved a little bit and then she like giggled and I'm like, oh, that's creepy.
So that was really good. I never witnessed any of that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like... some of them played their parts a little too well. Mainly the guy outside.
Yeah, that was creepy.
I felt like they did a good job of picking up on cues from group members of like when one person in the party wasn't paying as much attention. Because there were a few that I saw, and they like saw me and went to go out, and they like stopped just before, and then they saw you turn. So I like looked back at them like, you gonna scare her, or she's. She doesn't get scared. This is a good time. Yeah. And they would jump out at you. Yeah. And I would say 50% of the ones that popped out and scared you, I had seen first. Oh, okay. So I think they pick up on those cues really well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
But again, it wasn't super actor heavy compared to the animatronics, so they're not the primary scare or the carrier of whatever the
Right.
story is.
And some of the animatronics are so like big that you will like bump into them and that'll scare you. Like
Yeah.
so you're basically scaring yourself.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the lighting.
Ooh, the lighting.
So the lighting was done really well. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Me too.
You would think that the darkness would be dark, but they used a lot of good lighting.
Yeah, it wasn't fully lit, and I think there were a few areas that were mostly dark.
Yeah, but they used a lot of blues, reds, and greens.
It really all depended on the set.
Yeah,
itself.
it really matched the each scene.
Yeah.
I like that there wasn't much strobe, but when there was, it wasn't like crazy annoying or anything like that.
Yeah, it wasn't just put strobe in just because.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues. The what's it called at the end? The Terror Vision 3D
That was really good.
was really cool. They used a lot of, I mean, they give you 3D glasses and they used a lot of neon paint and neon
and it's all UV reactive.
and it was just very, very cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All the scenes felt like they were their own attraction, basically.
Yep.
They had Swamp Laser, which is kind of a mixture of lighting and effects. But I feel like this is the segue into the effects. So they had a Swamp Laser, but I feel like it fit in the context of the attraction. I think it was right. It was right around the time that we went into the greenhouse. I feel like wasn't it like a room before or a room after or somewhere?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I'd have to watch another walkthrough. But I didn't feel like the Swamp Laser was out of place.
No.
In terms of where in the house it was. It wasn't just thrown in to go, well, we don't know what we're going to do here. Let's put in a Swamp Laser.
Right.
So, in terms of moving into the effects,
Yes.
I also gave that a 5 out of 5.
Yes.
So far, in the first 5 categories, we have ranked these the exact same.
Yes.
So it's got to change eventually.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the effects?
So the effects were really done really well. There were, like we said before, there were so many large animatronics. And I think my favorite one was the huge doll in the nursery or the like doll scene.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so creepy. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know where they get these huge props from. I would love to know, because I would just love to see their warehouse.
That one almost looked like a Gorgalore. I don't know.
They also, you know how I mentioned it when we were walking through, and they had such a big, like, you know, those big tall ones. I think it might have been, there was a few, but their waist, their pelvic area or whatever was so wide and large. Like, I was like, where do they get these from? Like, do you remember that? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's not a ton of companies that make it.
Right. I was like, that looks really, I don't know.
Distortions makes a good bit of them. I think Gorgalore makes custom ones that large. And I think Poison Props and Scare Factory.
Scare Factory is just, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, if you can get their product, they're great.
Right. Buy it when they already have it
Buy
done.
the show floor.
Yeah, buy the show floor.
I'll take it from here.
Right. The floor effects were pretty awesome. I love the bridge that they had where you were walking over it, and it actually felt like you were walking on like a bridge.
Yeah, because that's the one that had pneumatic.
Yes.
To pop it up, and then it would go back down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they also had the dropping mechanism on the floor at one point where it felt like you were just being dropped. I usually don't like laser swamps because I'm so short, but this one was actually really good for me to see. Like, my head was in like my neck and my head were in a good place where I could actually enjoy the swamp, and it wasn't right at my nose. You know what I mean? So my next favorite effect was the clown van.
Ooh, I had forgotten about that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, my favorite. It moved and bumped as if you were riding in it.
Yeah, even before you got in it, you could see the whole thing kind of jumping up and down like it was going down the road.
Yes.
And they had the screen as the front windshield. And then when you got inside, you were just on the inside of it. So they had a screen to look at the outside, and you were just bumping.
Yeah, so unique. I loved every minute of that. Yeah, that was really cool. What did you think?
So, on the topic of the swamp lasers, I had just gone into a class about, I think where Alan Hops had talked about laser vortex and straight line lasers. So I was trying to see, how much can you really not see past the laser? And
Mm-hmm.
is one side visible from the laser versus one side not?
Right.
So when we were going through that, I ducked down and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I want to see what the actors see. And one of the actors actually came running towards me
That's
from
scary.
underneath and tried to scare me, like almost like a get out of my swamp
Yeah.
type of thing.
Get out me swamp.
Right. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was neat that the actors know, like, everybody going through the house tonight are haunters.
Yeah.
They're aware of the effects, they're aware of a lot of the transitions, they're aware of the acting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not only just trying to put out a good show, but they're catering to that audience.
Mm-hmm.
So a haunter is going to touch everything, most likely.
Yeah.
You're going to want to know what it's made out of, what it feels like, what the texture is.
Yep.
Why does it look wet, but it's not?
Mm-hmm.
You're the one looking behind you at all the lights, all the tech stuff, what's going on. You're the one going underneath the lasers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool thing for them to take the opportunity from
Yeah.
and go, all right, well, I can scare you even better because now you can see me.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you put your head right above the laser, I'm gone again.
Right. And I like that because, like I said, sometimes I'm 5 foot. So sometimes
Yeah.
the laser hits me right at my nose.
Yeah, and it's
And-
annoying.
And it's annoying because I have to like stand on my tippy toes to either see or I choose to just
Duck
go
under.
underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So I thought that was really cool. Overall, the animatronics were, again, top notch. I lost count on how many they actually had. A ton of pneumatic effects and screen animations to build out the scenes. I was shocked at how many screen animations they had.
yeah.
Anytime there were fake windows, they would put project or animations behind it on screens.
Yeah.
Thought that was really, really well done
Mm-hmm.
because they all seemed together really well.
Yeah.
Love that. I think you mentioned it earlier. A lot of the larger animatronics, they were partially in the walkway.
Mm-hmm.
So they either bumped into you or you bumped into them. You couldn't really help
some
it.
of them were so large that you could walk underneath them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you went
so crazy.
underneath a few of them.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't have a lot of time to pay attention to was the triggers. So I think some of them were step mats, but
Yeah.
I don't know what other triggers they use. There were so many other things to look at
Yeah. It was very
that I couldn't
overwhelming.
even, like, no part of my mind stopped to go, hey, why did that animatronic go off? Because surely there wasn't actors everywhere going, oh, yep, he walked by, click.
Right.
So it had to have been guest activated triggers, but I don't know what type they used other than step mats.
Yeah.
I'm sure they used a ton of different ones,
Yeah.
from reflective beams to UV.
Yeah. Probably. UV?
That's not one.
No.
Motion.
Motion
Yeah,
sensor.
motion. Motion and beam.
Yeah. So going on to the audio, or talking about segueing into the overstimulation, the audio is very loud. I
This is
gave
where
it.
we finally differ on opinions.
Yeah, I think it was way too loud. I could barely. There were so many sounds in different areas that I like couldn't concentrate on where I was going and what I was in. So I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it 4. This is the only category, now that I'm looking at this, that we differed.
Okay.
So you gave it a 3 because it was so loud.
Yes, because I get overstimulated, and I actually like houses that are just have like one or two sounds. I don't like hearing 10 million different sounds. Like, I don't like, I hate the freaking air puffs. I can't stand that. So if you're heavy on that, automatically no. It scares me, yes, but I just don't like the sound. It gives
It's
me
almost like
anxiety.
chainsaws.
Yeah, it gives me anxiety. So when there's so much going on, I get very overstimulated. So if I'm just walking through a house and you have like creepy music and like creaking, 10 out of 10 stars. Like
Yeah.
that, to me,
I
that's
mean, we
like,
only rank out of 5, but yeah.
well, whatever, 5 out of 5 stars. So, yeah.
So I don't know that if we get a chance to go to Dark Hour one day, I don't know that you're going to like it, because one thing that Alan talks about a lot is that they have a very loud haunt. And also, one of the classes I sat in on at TransWorld was the audio designer for Dark Hour, and kind of how he does his audio throughout the haunt, everything from the global audio soundtracks, kind of the overarching that
Yeah.
plays everywhere, all the way down to the super, super detailed radio in the corner.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with like particular sounds, but when you have just like, I think hearing the pneumatics
Yeah.
and
I'm
the,
annoyed when I hear the clicking of the
yes,
controllers
that
and the
and the anima,
pneumatic.
yeah,
Psh.
and then the animatronics, just like if it's not like lubed up or whatever, and it's like very
Yeah,
like get some WD-40 on that
I
thing,
get you.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I just get
So
overstimulated.
I gave this 4 instead of 3. It is an extremely loud haunted attraction.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 scenes that I know you hated that were loud car horns.
Oh, yeah.
One of them was, or both of them were fine the first time, but one of the times that we got stopped
Oh,
behind multiple groups, we heard the same car horn,
yes.
and we were within, I'd say, 10 feet of it. We heard it
The
for about
person-
3 minutes.
The person in front of us was like putting their fingers in their ears because we were literally right next to it.
Yeah. For about 3 minutes, we were stuck by this car,
Yeah.
and every 15 seconds, it would go off. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it was a beam sensor because there was about 45 seconds.
Well, why didn't
where
we find
nobody-
that beam sensor
there
and not
was-
stand in front of
There
it?
was an older guy that was behind us,
Oh,
and I think him and his son came, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Come on, Dad, like maybe step over here. Don't stand right there," because he was just like looking at the
I know.
car,
He
like,
was like, dude,
"Are you kidding me?" So
get
yeah.
away from the sensor.
So overall, I don't remember any of the audio being out of, theme
Mhm.
or, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Boop, 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 boop.
I don't know.
Out of place.
I'm not Google.
None of the audio seemed out of place or distracting, other than the 2 car horns. In the second one, even you thought, you were like, this doesn't even fit. Like, why do they have a second car horn? They've already done this.
Yeah.
But then there was a car in the very next scene, and we were
Right.
just hearing it a little before we should have.
Yes. That's why I was like confused.
So yeah, so no negative points there. It was just extremely loud, and honestly, had we not heard that same audio, again and again and again, I may have given this 5, but I still think that
that
5
wouldn't
out of
have
5
changed.
mark to me is reserved for a centralized audio track throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
That maybe changes its style throughout each scene if it's a little different, or almost is like an orchestral instrumental where it has rises and falls in accordance to what you're supposed to be feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
So I
get
want a
that.
very theatrical, emotional adventure and experience throughout
Yeah.
the haunted attraction.
That makes sense.
And this was just one volume, boom, the whole time it felt like.
Yeah, for sure.
So, after audio, our 7th category is set design. 5 out of 5 stars.
Yep. Amazing.
Yeah, that's
So insanely themed and decorated. You could stand in each room and you could see like it's just
you could
It's
see
crazy.
different things, you could smell different things. Literally every sense, sense?
sense.
Yeah.
Scent?
No, every sense. So like
Oh, you mean like your 5 senses. Every
yeah,
sense.
sixth if you're a ghost hunter.
Really?
Yes, all 5 senses were triggered typically
Yes.
throughout each room.
I agree.
So yeah, set design 5 out of 5. To me, one of my favorite parts were the boo hole locations. So anytime that a scare actor could pop out,
Yeah.
they were typically on the opposite side of the path from where your focus was. So if there's a huge animatronic, I would say 90% of the time, if you looked opposite of the room, opposite side of the room of the animatronic, there was like a cutout or like a curved pathway
Yeah.
for an actor to come out.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well because when they utilized the actors there, like the timing was great.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to the boo holes as much.
I
like
did because I had seen
I
the
think we
animatronics
look
in
at
the videos.
Yeah, I think we look at different things when we go
Oh,
through
of
the haunted
course.
house, which is a good thing if we're reviewing them. I mean, we
Yeah.
need different perspectives. So I look at like, what did the walls look like? What is the what furniture are you using? What
Hmm.
props are you using? And it looked amazing. It was
Yeah,
very well
and I
done.
focus on the effects.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they placing their triggers at? Where are they hiding them? If I
Mm-hmm.
can't find a trigger or it's hidden in a way where it's on the other side of a corner,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best well placed.
Yeah.
And then
This
I'll feel all the set design,
yeah.
but I won't necessarily look at it and go, "Ooh, that's cool."
This is getting me so excited for Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to actually
so many months. I was looking today to see if they had released any dates yet, just so we could start booking hotels.
oh
And they
yeah.
have
No.
not. So we can't book our TransWorld 2025 hotel yet. We can't book
I hate
Halloween Horror
spring.
Nights. Yeah.
Spring is like halfway to Halloween though, so that's the only reason why I kind of like it. But then
Yeah.
like it's just like, oh my god, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So going into customer service, we both rated this a 4 out of 5.
We did.
I thought that they did a fairly good job with, there's a ton of people there that night, and
Yeah.
they had like how many different times slots? Like
I don't even know.
I think it was from 7 to 10. I think that we were able to choose a time slot.
So they were probably open until 11,
yeah,
11:30
thousands of people.
easy.
So it wasn't really, so when you exit the house, you walk into their arcade and their prop room where you can take selfies and stuff like that. So it's very like there's a lot to look at.
Kind of their horror museum.
Yeah, and you could spend at least like 30 minutes just looking, maybe even an hour, honestly,
Yeah.
just looking at all this stuff. So it can get really crowded. There's no like line per se.
No, it's just one big open room after you exit the attraction.
Yeah, so we couldn't like really figure out where to check out with the merchandise, but that's a good segue into the merchandise.
Well, I didn't even get to say my thing,
Oh, sorry.
which was what you just said. It wasn't a smooth process figuring out where to check out in the merchandise
I
store.
figured you were tired of talking, so I just wanted to
yeah.
just say your opinion.
No, that was really my only negative was it wasn't a streamlined
No.
go here.
There's
It was
so many
probably a 20, 25 foot long counter
Yeah.
that
Just go to
it wasn't
a person.
clear that there were POS systems at any given place. It was just who's not currently talking to a customer.
I found
try to get in
I found
front
a
of them.
person in front of an iPad, and I was like, "All right, I'm ready to check out."
Right. But on the
So-
back wall of this is a great segue into their merchandise.
I'm gonna punch you.
On the back wall, there were a ton of t-shirt designs,
Yeah.
Apparel in general for specifically the darkness. So I would say at least 15 to 20 shirt designs, a bunch of different jacket and sweater designs.
Yeah, it was
Just on the back wall.
it was kind of like going into a Hot Topic, but
If Hot Topic didn't have like an island cash register, yes.
yeah, that, and then it's like a Hot Topic with like a
Bath and Body Works.
no,
Yeah. Well, no, I guess you're right.
a Spirit Halloween kind of.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the merchandise. I'm not talking about the checkout.
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
And
So-
like I'm trying to think of like a band concert.
Yes.
Yes. When you go to buy their t-shirts and stuff, how they have the whole back wall filled with different t-shirt designs, that was this. But then they also had the round what are those things called? Like hanger merch things.
Racks.
Yes.
Clothing racks.
Clothing racks. That's exactly it. They had a bunch of clothing racks, like the circular ones, where they had non-darkness specific clothing and apparel, which is where you got your sweater.
Yeah, so I could spend a lot of money in here just because it's something that I would have bought at a different store but a lot of their stuff is from, so like when I go to like look at stuff, I'm like, this looks really familiar. But the sweater that I bought was from Shin, and if you don't know what that is, it's like Shin and Tumi are like really cheap.
Tumi or Timu?
Oh, sorry.
Tumi is from Below Deck.
Oh, Timu. I'm sorry. You're right. Timu. So I've never bought from Timu, but I've bought from Shin. But it's basically the same thing. It's very low cost things that
If you
could
buy directly from them. They're low cost.
Yes, if you buy directly from them, they are very low cost. It might take a while to get to you, but and yeah, it's from China, so you know what I mean. But what they probably do is they buy a lot of cheap stuff from these websites, and then they resell it for like
Huge markup.
yeah. So I bought a really soft, and I love this sweater though.
No, I know. It looks really good.
It's
It's got
super
what, like
cute.
pumpkins on it?
Yeah, it has pumpkins on it.
And the
It
wrists
was
are like a little tattered.
yeah.
Yeah.
I probably could have bought this on Shein for $7, but we bought it for 20.
Which really isn't that
It
bad
really
for
isn't
what
that
it
bad.
is.
But it gave me a really good idea because
Okay.
you go on Amazon and Shein and all of that and you see all of these different things
Mm-hmm.
and you could buy like a ton of them and then resell them. And that's a really good
Yeah, if you have the clientele for it in the
yeah.
market. Yeah.
So like
We can go to like oddity conventions and stuff and sell it.
mhm.
I don't know that I really want to be that type of vendor.
No, but
there is a place for it.
yeah, there is a place for it. So like if you do have that, and that's what I mean, they have tons of stuff. It's a horror boutique.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, and they also had like dolls, they had mugs, a lot of other small and large merch options. We were very, very
Yeah.
close to walking out with Billy the Puppet
yeah.
from Dead Silence.
And it was like it was
posable.
it was posable and soft, but it was
Yeah.
$250, I think they said.
Yeah, I think our cap was going to be if it was less than 200.
I think it was 100. I think we were like,
Okay.
but
Because
I
it wasn't
knew
in a
it was-
box. It wasn't.
No.
So like you knew it was already discounted from what you would find it online.
Yeah, it's probably like $350 online.
I think so. I think that's what we had Googled later.
Yeah.
But very,
Which
very
is what they
close.
were doing. They were like,
Right.
let me see how much they're selling it online.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
what they
then-
did, which
yeah.
I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think eventually our goal is to have a full line of like posable puppets or dolls like that on our loft
Yeah.
or on our mantle.
Mantle.
Right now we only have two. We have Glenn from Child's Play or from Seed of Chucky, I guess.
Yeah.
Glenn, Glenda. And then we also have Little Woofy from Distortions Unlimited, which I love.
I love him.
It's my favorite one we have on there right now.
He's our son right now.
Yep. So that leads us into final thoughts, the last category. I gave it 5 out of 5 because,
Yeah.
yeah,
did
there were
too.
a few little things that I would have changed personally or wanted to have seen different. But overall, that doesn't negate it from being a top tier attraction to me.
No, I agree.
What I like and what you like in terms of anybody is going to be vastly different. Everybody's looking for different stuff. We talked about a lot of that today.
Yeah.
So the final results, we both gave that 5 out of 5, right? For final
Yeah.
thoughts. So the final results came in at, really because of audio alone, this changed it just slightly. So mine came in at 4.5 out of 5. Yours came in at 4.4 out of 5.
Aw.
So for final thoughts, we'll break it up into favorite actor, favorite moment and scene, and then what would we have changed or what would we have wanted to see, what would have been cool.
Okay.
What was your favorite actor?
So I've already talked about this. I really liked the statue girl with the sheet on
The one
when
that
she
giggled, the giggler?
yeah, she did nothing but stand there and giggle when I said I knew it when she moved. So that was funny.
I could not define a specific actor that I thought stood out as better than any other. Again, to me, the animatronics overpowered a lot of this
Agreed.
attraction.
Yep.
But none of them, I thought they all had really good timing, personally, from what I observed. I
They're
know
okay.
you differed that way with that a little bit, but whatever. What I do have is my favorite moment or scene. And you talked about there was a few different methods of like floor collapsing, dropping,
Yeah.
the bridge going up and down, kind of the pneumatics on that. What I really liked, though, and my favorite one, was the room that rocked completely side to side.
Yeah, that
And
was
they had
so
a bunch of
cool.
like pots and pans and metal stuff hanging. And every time it rocked, it would clatter the whole thing.
Yep.
My second favorite was the doll room.
Oh, so
Obviously.
Cool. Yeah.
We're big doll fans. I don't know where we found ourselves in that, but
I don't know
we
because I
have
used to hate
dolls.
that.
I know, me too. But we have dolls everywhere now. So my favorite room, aside from the rocking room, was the doll room with the huge normal baby doll head and then the large animatronic that you talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. My favorite scene was the clown ice cream truck that we had to walk through, like
Yeah.
we've talked about before.
And I don't know if that was an animatronic or an actual actor in
I
there.
don't know. No, it was an anima. It was.
So when
I
we were
don't think it was an
walking through,
actual.
I thought it was an actual actor because I turned around and I said, geez, I would hate to be in this scene all night because you're like
Oh,
rocking up and down.
I
But
don't
then in
know.
the walkthrough
That's interesting.
video we watched, I think that was the same thing that I saw and it was an animatronic.
Okay,
So,
it probably was because I don't think they would have put somebody in that.
right, I agree.
But my next favorite room or scene was the nun room.
That was really good.
That one was super creepy.
And the greenhouse room.
I don't remember the greenhouse.
So I remember the greenhouse because it had the big, like Venus flytrap that was
Okay.
on both sides of you, and you had to walk through the two
Oh, I
like
remember that.
mouth halves of it, and it would like collapse on you. There was
Is that the one where
also-
the car we thought was out of place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it like drove into the green room.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean now.
Like all of the rooms were so good.
They were.
The green room one stood out to me. The clowns were really good, but that was just like one huge area.
Yeah, like a 15-minute walkthrough.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah.
You're right. The nun room was really good. They had all the nuns and the crosses
So
hanging from the
creepy.
ceiling.
Yeah.
One of them actually like jumped out at you. One of the last ones. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
So I don't think I can choose. They were so like, but obviously those two like really stood out to me. But
Yeah.
everything else, I mean, it was just all really good.
Yeah.
So what would you have changed, or what would have been cool to have seen?
I have a few different things. One of the things is trying to separate. So one thing we talked about a lot while we were going through it was which actors are props and which are actually actors. So which ones are statue scares versus not.
Yeah.
Or which ones are props within the statue scares. So what I typically found that I was looking at was their feet. Animatronics are always on a metal base typically because they have to be mounted somehow.
Right.
So if they're freestanding, typically they're on a metal base. They're not attached to the wall through pneumatics or anything like that. So it's really easy to spot if it's a prop. Whereas if it's an actor, if you have a bunch of statues everywhere and you're trying to figure out which one is which, you used to be able to look at the eyes.
Yes, which is what I do.
But now
No.
they've gotten so good at the
They
painting
have.
process that
Crazy.
you can't just depend on the eyes. So I've started looking at the feet. So when you look at that, what I would have done differently, which is probably pretty easy, is put a metal plate even underneath the actors. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a metal plate because I know that would be a little more wear and tear on their feet or their kind of positioning and comfortability.
Yeah.
But I think you could get a rug, like a really thin rug or something, and paint it some metallic paint, and then
Make it look like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
make a metallic looking comfort mat type of thing. Eliminates fatigue. Looks like a metal plate, but then you don't. There's no difference. So you're eliminating one more possibility of being able to see the difference between actors and props. Also, there were a few different areas that were so like there was a fiery dragon room where the huge animatronic of the dragon's head pops out, and then there was also kind of an ice themed room. What would have been
Yeah.
really cool, and I know this is difficult to do, but
It
it's just
is.
another layer of theming.
It's
that
like
is possible.
It's like the
It's like the mummy ride at Universal.
no. Universal just had a house. What was it?
Oh, the
dragon.
Dueling Dragons.
Yeah, Dueling Dragons, where you had fiery, the
Yeah, and we commented on
red
that
dragon and the blue dragon.
in that episode too.
Right, and I feel like it would have been so much better had you cooled and heated
Yeah.
up each one, you know?
Yeah.
But I know that is difficult to do, so.
Yeah, that's not a simple process, but I think it would have been really cool because it wasn't. So, like with Dueling Dragons, you would have had to alternate that so often
Yeah.
that the temperature bleed into the next room would have been really difficult. So eventually, you would have just gotten all of them would be at the same temperature.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they were so far separated
Mm-hmm.
where you can have your normal temperature throughout the whole house,
Mm-hmm.
have this specific scene kind of superheated almost,
Yep.
and then that specific scene, put an HVAC outlet right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been
But
easy enough,
I think
but
I think safety has a lot to do with it with the heating aspect of it though.
possibly.
So that's probably because if you cool something, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to heat something. You can't just if you
Yeah.
have like both of those, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just go into like a freezer room or whatever and it be super icy and cold and then you walk into a heated like, you know, a fiery room and it's normal.
Well, they weren't side by side.
No, I know, but I'm saying like if you were in the room or in the walking through the house and they were separated at certain times,
Mm-hmm.
you would be like, well, why was that room really cold and this room is not as hot? You know what I mean? So like,
It's not as hot. You like the rooms next to the.
no. Okay, so you have those two rooms.
Mm-hmm.
You walk through the whole haunted house.
Uh-huh.
If you're reviewing this and you say, oh, that ice room was really cold, that was really cool, but I wonder why the heated room or the room with the fire wasn't really hot. It was just normal.
Yeah.
Why didn't they
Oh yeah, if you
utilize
do one, you have to do the other.
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay, I
Okay.
gotcha. But not like every room be super
No,
temperature dependent.
no.
I gotcha.
Whew,
Whew, sorry, it took me a little bit to get
it's
on board with
okay.
you, but I
Jesus.
agree.
All right. Anyways,
What about you? What would you change?
so I thought it was although it was long, I think it was a little too long. I think that it could have I got a little tired and I was like, okay, this is not so like if somebody were I wish I had known how long it was
Mhm.
because what if you have a person that has an injury or something and can't walk that long? Like they think, "Oh, it's a haunted house. It's probably like 10 minutes, 15 minutes long."
Yeah.
If you're going into 35 minutes and you're like, "Where's the end?" Like, you know, I just feel like it was just too long. So maybe like half it up into I don't know, like a downstairs versus upstairs or something like that. I don't know. But other than that, obviously it was a great haunted house and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was
So
good.
yeah, we are an hour and a half. So thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, I mean this was twice as long as it took us to go through the actual haunted house.
Yeah,
So we'll link
there's just a lot to
a
talk
lot
about.
of different websites. We'll link the website specifically to The Darkness. We'll link to Haunt World's website, where specifically their publication or article about the America's top rated scariest haunted houses from 2022, in which they rank themselves fourth, like we talked about before. We will link Scarefest, which is one of the kind of marketing websites that talks about all of the haunted attractions in St. Louis, and specifically Creepy World, The Darkness, Limp Brewery. We will link hauntedproductions.com in case you have 45,000 at minimum to spare for consultations on haunted or themed attractions. We will also link the yelp.com section where we took all of these super fun reviews.
Yeah, is that it?
That's it. That's all I got. Next
Okay,
time,
cool.
I don't know what we're gonna release first. I don't know if we're gonna release our TransWorld episodes or this episode.
I don't know, but we have
We'll
recorded
figure it out.
so we'll figure it out. But thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping
Liking, subscribing, and
yeah, and thank you for keeping up with these long episodes. I know
Yep.
they're long, but hopefully you can space them out and enjoy still listening to us. Give us some feedback if you think we are, you know, doing something that is too much, or if we need to do something else. Please let us know. This is our first time doing this, and we're trying to get more people to listen to us and get better at what we're doing. So please let us know.
yup.
All right, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.